Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNativeBloodyElbow.com bringing you the infamous and patented Care Don't Care preview for the UFC doubleheader this weekend. Joined once again by the ineffable. God damn it, I do it every time. The ineffable, the
The, in,
inimitable
the
Eugene S.
ineluctable.
Robinson, author of Fight. Everything you always want to know about ass
Everything
kicking,
you
but nah, damn it, I'm supposed to have the subtitle. Everything you're supposed to. Fuck it. Yeah. Anyway, what you were
at
suggesting?
this point now, you just need to jump off the edge of the cliff because you ruined so much in so short a period of time that there's no coming back.
Show's over, kids. Go
Yeah,
home.
go home. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Move along. Anyway, yes, you got the book is right there over the shoulder. So.
Yes, fight.
Fight.
Everything you
It's
ever
called
want to know
fight.
about ass kicking, but we're afraid to get your ass kicked for asking. And did you have a suggestion for my parade of ends? Inimitable,
Ineluctable.
ineluctable. I don't even know what that means, Eugene. I went to a
I'm not
state
telling you
college.
either. I'll tell you like I tell my kids. There's a big red book over on that shelf. I suggest you use it.
I see. Well, I'll try some googling. What's your overall care don't care temperature for this pair of UFCs?
I care, but you know what? Again, I care partially because of last week.
Because it just
And
got you so pumped. Because that was
I,
a great fight card.
I am pumped, but also I am pumped. I was pumped more after than I was before, which means to me something very specific. It means to me that sometimes a whole bunch of base hits work. A whole bunch of base hits work a lot better than home runs.
I see. So last week was missing the big Jones versus Cormier main
Yeah,
event.
going into it, I mean, did anybody, you didn't even mind when you got to the main card that Carrioso and that it was Carrioso.
Yeah, I mean, and I was actually a little relieved because I was like, at least this will be probably a finish, and
Yeah.
we won't have to have another 5 rounds of. But it still had a tad bit of an anticlimactic feeling because that main card was climax after climax after climax after climax, and then flyweight fight.
Well, my judgment is screwy because I watched this fight with a bunch of Chris Carrioso haters, which in the Bay Area are hard to find. So what they really wanted to see was him just to get outclassed round after round after round. They didn't want to see they didn't want to see any fancy finish. They just wanted him shamed, his soul broken, and sent home. And the fact that it only happened after 2 rounds was a sad night for them. But overall, everybody was happy because they hate him so much. I don't know what the guy did. He's a Brooklyn kid, as far as I know. I've liked him my exposure, but the people I was watching with were of a very different cast.
I see. I see. Good to know. And of the two UFCs that are coming up on Saturday, we've got UFC Stockholm, Nelson versus Story in the afternoon American time, and then we've got UFC Halifax, McDonald versus Safdie in the evening. Which one do you care more about?
It's 50-50. It's
I see. This
50-50.
is you're going to pull my mom's line. I love all my children equally.
Well, that's true. It
Is that,
really is true. Yeah. Well, you just had your second kid, but I can tell you, when I
I mean,
used to
it's true
think,
for me, but with my mom, it's clear that my brother Grant was totally.
well, your mom was maybe from the generation where people were fucked up and didn't raise their kids right.
I see, I see, as
I,
opposed to
I've
our
heard, I've heard,
perfect
it, I've heard
times.
it, I've heard of that before, and it seems really injurious to the family structure.
She's
And
actually
having,
pretty even-handed. I was just kidding about that, but I
yeah,
do know
yeah.
some families that are clearly the playing field is tilted though.
Well, yeah, there's a friend of mine who actually ended up. It's a tragic tale, murdering his mother,
Ay,
um,
ay, ay.
because when he was about 12 or 13 years old, because she abused him terribly, and he had the misfortune of resembling a father who had taken off.
Mm,
So the mother
mm.
was a drinker and just heaped the abuse and scorn on the departed husband, you know, on the son. So it's a tragic tale all around. But yeah, people get confused. Favorites are played because somebody looks like somebody. In my case, so all of my kids remind me of all of my sisters, and I love all my sisters. So I love all my kids. They all have different personalities. Love them all differently, but favorites is not what I'm playing.
I see. Did you ever read that Michael Gilmore book, Shot in the Heart, about his brother Gary Gilmore and the whole family, and how a family produces a Gary Gilmore?
Yeah, I have vague memories of that.
And I've read that book like 6 times. It made a huge impression on me. And apparently, like, the father really horrifically abused Gary because he thought he was the bastard child, and it turned that his own son had knocked up his wife. And it turns out that it was Gary's older brother in the end that was the bastard. So, anyway. Yep.
There you go.
Beat the wrong fucking kid, man. I mean,
well, there's a guy, in New York that grew up in a brownstone. The buildings are all attached, and next door neighbor. I mean, these are the days when you would hear this shit and you wouldn't say anything. The next door neighbor used to beat his son from one end of the house to the other. You could hear the footsteps. And he was trying to beat the faggot out of him. I mean.
Did it work?
Of course.
Of course not, because that would never work. That was horrific. That was a tasteless joke on my part.
No, that stuff. But anyway, parents. I think the one thing, I don't know that they kept. One thing that distinguished me from the average child is that I remember having the sense I'm not always going to be the small. And when I'm not,
this worm is turning.
Get ready, because I don't forget easily.
I feel like my kid feels that way. I know he's going to be bigger than me by the time he's like 15. So,
hey man, you got to start doing the propaganda now. Cozy up to that dude now. Otherwise, you're the one. Your authority is gone.
I was out there tossing footballs with him around last night for hours. All right, which one do you want to do first? I guess we should do the one that happens first.
Let's do that first.
Fight Night, Nelson versus Story. I gotta say, I
love his music.
I do too. I'm the Nelsons. Nobody even knows what Nelson was anymore.
I don't care. Come on, you guys gotta go to the Googles and look it up. Man. That shit's funny.
Totally mediocre hair band. Not even mediocre.
No,
they were lucky.
You're being gracious, man.
Yeah, they were an abysmal hair band, worse than Stryper possibly in the late '80s. Remember Stryper?
Definitely worse than Stryper. And Stryper was Christian rock, worse than Stryper.
Yeah, well, I mean, Stryper sucked pretty hard, man.
No, they sucked worse. I mean, because at least with Stryper, you can always say, if you want to point to Christian rock archetype, you go Stryper.
Petra was around before Stryper, dude.
You got beat there on Christian rock. Coming from Texas, I guess you would go.
I had to attend a live Petra concert, man, and then we got in trouble for.
You had to.
Well, it was like the only thing going on in Amarillo, Texas, and there were some Christian girls we wanted to go out with, so which I highly recommend actually. But we wrote a.
Really, I was at some party putting in a lot of work one night, talking to this woman, cozying up. She goes, "Well, I'm just about to go off to college." I go, "Oh, really? Which college you going off to?"
Was this recently? You're hitting on a girl? I
was a bit younger then.
I was like 47, maybe.
And she goes, "I'm going off to BYU." And then you could just cue the clown music,
I see. Well, that's let me let you in on Kid Nate's secret for dating Baptist girls. Okay. You go to church with them, Eugene. You go to church. Dad picks you up, so you don't need a car. She's wearing her best clothes, so she's going to be looking her best. You get a free meal afterwards. If you have to sit through the service, admittedly, but I had plenty of practice at sitting through service. The service always gets the girls riled up on an emotional and physical level. Then afterwards, they feed you, and everybody, like mom goes to Walmart, dad's mowing the lawn, or taking a nap in front of the football game.
Man, I can't tell you how creeped out I am right now.
I was 15, Eugene. This was my game in high school.
Well, no, I guess you have to. I'm not creeped out because of that, but just the whole church thing creeps me out.
The church was creepy, which is why I felt no qualms about invading these satanic temples of mind control.
You and the ministers.
Yes, the ministers were cleaning up. I figured that out the first time a Big Tent Revival came to my town. Dude first time I ever saw a pinky nugget ring. Remember those things? And the dude had a Cadillac. That's not a nugget ring, though. That's a what is that? Like an Emmitt Smith Super Bowl ring?
Yeah, because I was in the Super Bowl.
With those, he had the big nugget
Yeah,
pinky
yeah, I
ring
know what
and
you're
a
talking about.
Cadillac with a combo lock. First time I ever saw one of those.
That's nice.
And
That's
he
nice.
broke up several marriages in his amazingly successful week-long tent revival. And
He
I
is
was
not.
like,
He is not the man for you. God has told me this.
exactly.
Hey,
And apparently, because like he left havoc in his wake, man. And I was like,
did you see today? They said that 50% of the married women have backup
I
husbands.
saw this. I saw this. Is that a surprise to you?
I'm surprised they're calling them backup husbands. I would have used another word after backup, but whatever.
Well,
Uh,
it's people got to publish these things in family-friendly publications,
yeah,
but
right, right.
it's have you ever been on anybody's bench, Eugene?
Eh, Well, I'm not so much a bench guy. I'm one of those
You're
guys
a
that
spot player, aren't you?
just run right out on the field, whether the coach says go or not.
Let's
So,
see. There's one too many guys out on the field here. There's
that's right.
Eugene.
What the hell's he doing out there? Wait a minute. Yeah, no, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
Eugene.
Anyway, so that means that you, my friend, need to start looking around. Yeah,
I'm not turning over any rocks, my man. I'm not causing any trouble. Not asking any questions. Just If you don't know who your wife's backup husband is, you don't know your wife very well at
you
all.
got it. That's right. You got it. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
unfortunately, my wife's backup husband got married to somebody else, so, But I mean, I could keel over with a heart attack any day. I'm in that age demo, so,
yeah,
I don't blame
that's
her
true.
for thinking these through. But let's go on. We've got like a 9-fight prelim card on this.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
We got to blaze through this. All right. Preliminary. This whole thing's on UFC Fight Pass if you're in North America. I assume it's on Swedish television. In
What
Sweden,
time is it on UFC Fight Pass in North America?
this thing is going to be. Eugene, you asked me these questions. Like, how am I supposed to be prepared for this? Like, why would I think ahead to say.
Because I got to watch it, but I got to.
It's going to be on at mid-afternoon. Let me see. It will be on at 3 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. So that's 2 p.m. But that's the main card. The prelims start at 12:10 p.m. Eastern, so that's pretty early in the morning for you, Eugene. That's
12:10
yes.
Eastern.
So it'll be 9:10 your time.
9:10 at night.
No, a.m.
AM 9:10. That's I'm up by 6.
Wait. It says 12:10 p.m. So that's what the fuck? They can't be. No, it's noon. Yeah, 12:10 p.m. is noon. Sorry, noon midnight.
Okay.
Like,
So 9 will be 9 o'clock Saturday, right?
Yep, 9 a.m. Saturday morning. You will be geared up and ready to watch featherweights Zybera Tukagov and Ernest Chavez. How much caring will you do?
Don't care.
Don't care. Me neither. Sorry, guys. And
we're gonna.
you need to do the disclaimer, and preferably in Swedish.
Ja, that's good. Yeah. Hey, you didn't expect that, right?
Oh, what did you just say?
I just said I love you.
Wow. And how many times have you used that in anger?
And anger.
I mean, by that I mean in sincerity, of course.
Oh, right. Oh, divided or a million. No. It's a very small country. But no, this is care or don't care. Look, this has got nothing to do with you personally. If you're taking it, don't go Tim Kennedy on us. You cry babies. It's got nothing to do with that. It has to do with the marketing might and heft of the UFC and how it's applied itself in terms of getting us to know about you. Fight a great fight, we'll know about you. So don't take it personally. Once again, Kennedy, crybaby.
I knew you were going to bring that up, but I'm an
all-American.
Tim Kennedy. That corner, that stool time was too long.
Crybaby, glove grabbing.
What is the deal with these Cubans and their stool sitting, Eugene?
Yeah.
Every Cuban I can think of, we got Hector Lombard, well-known asshole, Yoel Romero, Pants Pooper,
nice guy.
and now Ted Cruz. Like everybody from Cuba I know of is just trouble.
I thought Ted Cruz was Canadian.
He's Cuban by way of Canada.
So 2 C's got nothing to do with us.
But anyway, back to the fight. So we don't care about Zybera Tukagov and Ernest Chavez. How about welterweights Mairbek Taisumov and Marcin Bandel? Nope, me neither. Middleweights Thor Tronig and Krzysztof Jotko.
Well, outside of a great name of Thor Tronig, It's like combination of like Thor, Masters of the Universe, and like Tron. And then I'm envisioning guys doing the robot dance, which is pretty fanciful, but I don't care.
I see. I kind of care because I recognize both. I've watched these guys both fight enough. I'll give it a care, but a very, very provisional one because I haven't really loved their fights. All right, welterweights: Cathal Pendred and Ghassan Umalatov.
I don't care.
Also, like it's I kind of care because I like the name Cathal Pendred.
I like the name. That's not enough, man.
Well, you know, it's slim pick. It's gonna be slim pickings on Saturday afternoon, but this is gonna keep me out of childcare for the whole afternoon. So I'm looking on the bright side.
Fathering.
Fathering. Yes, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I'm gonna be locked in the office. So.
I gotta be at a secret fight seminar, like I told you guys, up in Truckee, California, Masters in the Mountains. So if you want to come, text me. Or if you're
Is
gonna
that
be,
this Saturday?
It's this Saturday. So
and you'll be watching the Fight Pass event on your desktop, on your laptop there.
Well, it'll be actually it's a fight seminar, so it'll be set up while people are giving instructions. So.
Cool. All right, now this one I think you might care about. Featherweights: Charles Rosa and Dennis Seaver.
Of course, I care about Herr Seaver.
Because he's a steroid user, is that it?
He's the boy guy. Ganz genau. He is a steroid achiever.
A steroid achiever. He wasn't, for the record, he wasn't busted with steroids, simply masking agents. So.
Correct. So. I'm hiding something, and you can't find what I'm hiding, which means I've successfully hidden it, but maybe the fact that I've tried to hide something is indication of my guilt. I don't know.
Just
hey, what about Poland?
A wacky mix-up. At least it wasn't a Whizzinator. Or animal pee.
Or what I allegedly heard our friend Phil Baroni, who's a New York badass, used the finger of a glove, of a rubber glove filled with someone else's urine.
Smart. That guy, that Phil Baroni, a crafty devil. So we care about this one. Do you have a pick?
Yeah, sure.
And that pick is? Aren't you a liar now?
Let's go for Seaver, man.
I see. I thought you were from Brooklyn, not Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, yeah, the Brotherhood of the Syringe. I think we'd have to.
Admitted PED user Eugene S. Robinson. All right, former.
At this point, yes. Post the article now. I can, I knew a guy who.
You outed yourself for a few cheap clicks, Eugene.
Yeah, well, but this is a youthful indiscretion thing.
Back when you were a bodybuilder. I mean, all you had to do was tell me you used to do bodybuilding, and I was like, uh-huh.
No, because I never competed under the influence of steroids.
Like Chael Sonnen, you only did it during training?
No. Once I started using, I never competed again.
Ah. That's an interesting choice. Why did you do that?
Because I started getting tattoos, and I wasn't going to stop getting tattoos, and then I just lost interest and got addicted to raw power.
I see. Fascinating.
And also, to compete in powerlifting, I suspect that largely I had to be a lot stronger. So, and then I got lost in the whole woods of I'm going to be 300 pounds.
Well, I'm glad you turned. And now you're driving a 65 Chevy Chevelle around. So how much we've matured, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, that was a car very precisely that I thought was the coolest thing on earth in 1968. Yeah, but it is.
And it's taken you this long to acquire it.
I had a 67 for a long time, and then it got unfortunately lifted from the street, so stolen. This new one is. I've got like 6 anti-theft devices of varying degrees of intensity on it, as well as I'm going to sleep in the trunk.
All right, so thieves beware. You might be getting a nasty surprise when you try to drive off. Okay, we need to get back on pace. Welterweights, Nico Musoki and Alexander Yakovlev.
Yeah, you didn't pick somebody against Seaver.
I picked Seaver.
Okay, good. All right.
I mean, really, come on. Well, I don't know why you were trying to prevaricate, but you got us off track. Nico Musoki versus Alexander Yakovlev, welterweights. Yeah, I don't care either. All right, middleweights, Magnus Siedenblog versus Scott Asham. Scott Asham.
Oh, I think your difficulty in pronouncing the last name tells us all we need to know. I do not care about Mr. Ashcan.
I don't care about him, and I dislike Seidenblad because his fights are boring, so I don't care.
Yep.
All right, so this brings us to the 4-fight main event, also on Fight
Well,
Pass.
look, the guys who run the UFC are smart guys. This fight's in Sweden, right?
Yep. So they stacked
it's
it with European fighters.
not necessarily the issue. Scandinavia and a lot of these countries have had a really mixed relationship to this American import that, in Germany they were making it illegal. They thought it was barbaric, and then like they would know, and then they backed off of that. In France, MMA,
It's still illegal.
Yeah, they have MMA events though, but the MMA events have weird rules. You can strike while you're standing, but once you hit the mat, full grappling, no striking. So it's a weird, so they have conflicted relationships. So I would say that maybe these fighters have been chosen for very specific reasons.
I see. Without any indication as to what those reasons might be.
I don't know. I would say that you're not going to have a lot of guys sitting on other guys' chest, pounding their faces 20 times, a la Mizugaki, because that shit just looks bad for, if you've got parliamentary people waiting to do something, justify their salary, that's not the kind of thing you want to be seeing on TV.
I think the Swedes are in the grips of full-on UFC fever, though, with Augustus.
Yeah, they might have changed. But I know I had one of the guys. Who's it? Cat from the Norwegian guy.
Hellboy? You think of Hellboy Hansen?
Yeah, Joaquin Hansen. I had him in the fight book, or I was about to put him in the fight book. I don't remember which at this point. I should check. And he was initially doing MMA fights in Norway and Oslo as art gallery events. So that was the way he got around the ruling. It was art. It wasn't the sporting competition. So they were opposed then. I guess it's okay to burn churches and stab guys in the street, but MMA in any place other than
Hey, Varg did the full 21 years.
Yeah.
Varg did as much as that guy that killed like 90 kids in that one horrific mass shooting is going to do.
Breivik. You also, when you talk about time in Norway, if you could go to jail, I wrote a piece about the Pistoia prison, and this is like, they finally said, why are we making these guys suffer? They're going back fucked up. So Pistoia prison is a luxury prison. There's tennis, windsurfing, they have their own places, there are no locks on any doors.
Varg busted out like 6 albums.
Yeah, well, Pistoia is actually an island, but you can get kicked off, and if you get kicked off, you get put in a real prison. But the recidivism rate after these guys have come through Pistoia, where they can have their own kitchenettes and they can listen to classical music all day and watch movies, the recidivism rate is like 1%. So there's this idea of, well, could it work in America? Shit. I would get myself thrown in prison if I got to stay at a place like Pistoia.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like people would be trying to go back. But anyway.
Yeah, but they don't. And anyway, so I would say, venture a guess that maybe they've chosen people on this fight card that are not going to upset the shit.
I see. So a little conspiracy.
Speculation on my part. Speculation.
Clearly, some conspiracy from Eugene S. Robinson are conspiracy go-to. All right, so the main card, featherweights, Nicholas Backstrom with 2 umlauts versus Mike Wilkinson. Which vowels does he have the umlauts over?
Backstrom, you say?
Yeah, over both of them. There's only 2 vowels in the word.
I'd say, okay, thank you.
Anyway, all right, so do you care?
I don't care.
No, I don't care either. All right, light heavyweight, I think you'll care about this one. Light heavyweight, Jan Blachowicz and Ilir Latifi.
Oh, yeah, I like Latifi.
Yeah, Latifi is kind of, he seems like the sort of thing that would come out of a bottle if you were Aladdin,
That's edgy. Yeah.
Perhaps you're interpreting it in a way I didn't mean. I was thinking about the simple children's story.
Hassan Chop.
Ilir, bring me all the treasure you can carry. That's what I was thinking. Anyway, all right, so we care about that one.
One of my favorite Daffy Duck lines, consequences, schmonsequences, as long as I'm rich.
I love Daffy Duck. All right. All right, so we care about that one. I assume we're both picking Latifi.
Yes.
And that brings us to featherweights. Ultimate Fighter winner, Akira Kurosawa versus Max Holloway.
I love Kurosawa's movies, man. That Ron he did and Rashomon. And
Rashomon really taught me a lot about different narratives and the way different people can have different beliefs about the same event. Right. This isn't that Kurosawa. This is Kurosawa. Akira. the Persian Swedish fighter.
Never mind. No. I'm into this fight because I love Holloway, and so therefore I'm blinded to all things not Holloway, and I see Holloway take it. I don't know Kurosawa, I'm digging Holloway.
He's sort of like a European Tony Ferguson.
That's not complimentary.
And see, well, I mean, he's not an especially nice guy, but he just got knocked out by Dustin Poirier, but otherwise...
Dustin Poirier, whose soul has been snatched from his...
he's never going to be the same again, man. He is never going to be the same again.
Did you see him? Did you see him? Man, that was tough to watch. You know?
Yeah, unless you
like I was watching Nancy Kerrigan.
Ouch. That makes my knee hurt. And then that makes me think of the Tanya Harding honeymoon video.
Yeah, that was terrible, man.
It really was, man. Where's the Nancy Kerrigan honeymoon video, huh? In the future, hackers will deliver us things like this.
Yeah,
you see?
All
right.
I don't understand why these celebrities are all upset about their naked personal pictures being all over the place. I myself would be perfectly happy to have my naked... If I didn't have kids even, I'd be perfectly happy with them making billboards of my naked personal pictures. In fact, I would be putting up billboards of my naked personal pictures.
Well, good thing you had kids, Eugene. That's all I have to say.
I guess the world can thank my children.
Indeed. Ironic that being naked around people is what caused those children. Now, that's holding you back.
Right. Yeah, people. Right. Yeah, what do you mean, people? He's the father of a nation.
Like Genghis Khan. The DNA evidence says
that's right.
half the plants descended from Genghis Khan. Anyway, so you care about Corsani Holloway because of Holloway, and you're picking Holloway.
Yes.
I'm going to pick Corsani, so we have a little action there.
Please.
All right. That brings us to the main event. Welterweights Gunnar Nelson and Rick Story. Care, right?
Yeah, I care. And Gunnar, he was one guy who I was building up on Knuckle Up, this whole idea of a certain style of fighting where these guys kind of sit in a modified horse stance. You've seen Machida and
McGregor.
Conor McGregor does it, and it's super successful. And I've been trying to kind of analyze why it is successful, but Gunnar's got it going as well. I've seen it be unsuccessful. I think Eric Silva uses it unsuccessfully, but I don't think he has a real background as a karateka, so he has, maybe he's applying it poorly. I don't know. I need to think about it, but I'm pulling for Gunnar on this one.
Yeah, I am too, although I think it's going to be a very tough challenge. I think Story might be stylistic kryptonite for him because he's the classic, wrestle boxer, just a mean mug, ugly, nasty, mean, dirty grinder. And but it's going to be a big stylistic test for Gunnar.
He's been less so over time.
It's true. Story's...
Let me say that again. He's been less so over time.
Wow.
I don't really know what that means, that before he had been super aggressive, and now he's maybe not so aggressive.
I see. That is a curious formulation you're putting together there. I see. Well,
I don't even know what I'm saying. What am I saying?
Who does these days? It's so hard to keep up. What is this guy saying? I think that's what all 18 viewers that are watching the show are saying right now. What is this guy talking about? But, I don't know. I think I'm going to pick Nelson, though, because Story's a tough test, but I think just Nelson's undefeated. He sees himself as a winner. Story, not so much.
Yeah, he's had a taste. So, somebody once told me to explain a knockout. They say, look, when your brain starts to recognize certain signals, it shuts itself off to prevent damage, And the problem when somebody says somebody's got a glass jaw, they've lost their chin, or it's that the brain is too readily recognizing, time to go. So, but I think in a larger sense that you have that with music, Mike Tyson said it best: success breeds confidence, confidence breeds success. And I think losing gets to be a habit after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm going to pick Nelson on this one, but I'll be glad to be proven wrong. But mostly because of what I said before, it's the guy's hometown. He's worried about seats for his mother, his father. He's trying to show up everybody who bullied him in high school. He's got, he's trying to show up ex-girlfriends. He's got a lot on his head. He's not just walking in trying to crack him the cake.
I could have done a Shalala, your classic home field disadvantage rant, but I love it, so I let it go.
That's not a story.
I know,
Yeah.
well, I see. So you're claiming you're claiming my Donna Shalala powers have limits.
Yeah.
We'll have to take that to the
I mean, because
Supreme Court.
you could Donna Shalala my use of articles. I cannot say a and or the at all because I've used those words before, but you wouldn't do that. Right?
I see, I see. Well, that would be a bit of a stretch. All right, so let's move on to the Canadian card. It's got 2 fights on Fight Pass, and
Where in
let's
Canada?
Halifax, Canada, and let me see when it starts. Gunnar Nelson's posture, man, those shoulders are always way back. Dude's got a weird posture.
I don't know. I don't know that he would do well against a boxer, like a traditional boxer. But this is not boxing. So.
No, it's not boxing, so we'll see. This one starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so it's basically just going to be a whole long day of UFC.
The UFC guys are trying to make it very difficult for anybody who's a fan of UFC to have a relationship.
Yes, although they're
Seriously,
2 weeks
man.
off.
After this?
Yeah, 2 weeks off after this before the Aldo Mendez rematch. So I'm already thrilled. I'm looking to see what movies are going to be out. I mean,
I've seen Equalizer.
And?
It's great. It was really great. I'm actually raring to do something I never do. I'm raring to see it twice, in actual fact.
Wow.
And then I saw the Nick Cage movie, 20,000 Days on Earth, and that was terrible.
Terrible?
Yeah, not as good as Equalizer by far.
I see. And what was your beef with the Nick Cage movie?
Was
he getting all that attention that could have been mine?
No, not even that. I mean, I was actually glad from that count because it leaves room for me to actually make a better movie. But it was a shuck and a jive, man. It wasn't. I'm looking for some sort of truth telling. You don't have to give me a straight documentary, but I don't want to be lied to. It was about 40% usable information. Stuff in there in the studio, it's great. But the mock interview with this therapist. First of all, no rock guy talking to a therapist is ever going to work. Just get that.
Did you see the Metallica documentary?
I was just going to say, if that did not work, it didn't work for Cave.
It made me hate Metallica with a burning passion.
I don't come out of it. My feelings about Nick Cave were largely unchanged by this movie, but it was just kind of a self-congratulatory mess. And the guys that you really wanted to hear from, that you were like get the sense were itching to talk more, like Blix or Bargell. They just cut. Shit got too real. I don't know what it was. So believe me, it was a waste of cash. It did not advance my understanding of them at all. But these guys, they start to lie after a certain point. How many books of Rollins do you have to realize that you don't know anything about the guy? And he's written the same book 10 times.
His best friend got shot in the face, Eugene.
That's the one true thing that the guy said.
He lived in a van. He lived in the lawn shack in the back of Greg Ginn's parents' house.
Yeah, I lived in the shed too, man. I'm not writing 10 books about it. When I lived in that shed, I was also eating dead grass. I'm not. You can't Donna Shalala that?
No, I can't. That's brand new.
Yeah, right.
And D. Boone and Mike White used to argue all the time. Come on, we know a lot about Henry Rollins. Yeah.
So I'm looking for certain kind of truth telling. So anyway, you got 2 weeks. Go see The Equalizer. That was all right.
All right. Well, I'll see if I can talk the Mrs. into that. All right. So the preliminary card: UFC Fight Pass, 2 fights. Bantamweights: Pedro Munoz and Jared Sanders.
I don't care.
I don't care either. Welterweights: Albert Tumanov versus Matt Dwyer.
I don't really care either.
No, I don't care either. Sorry, fellas. All right, okay, 4 fights on the Fox Sports 1 preliminary card, although the main card's also on Fox Sports 1 and there's 6 fights. So, flyweights, Patrick Holohan and Chris Pilates.
I don't care.
Rhymes with Pilates. I don't care either. Lightweights, just Jason Sago and Paul Felder.
Felder?
Felder.
No, I did that purposely just to raise the specter that I might care about.
Felcher?
Before somebody coming in with not.
I see. Trying to monkey with it, but I threw in the Felching joke. Lightweights, Olivier Aubin, I can't say the guy's name. Olivier Aubin Mercier versus Jake Lindsay.
I don't care.
I don't care either, and Aubin Mercier came in with a little bit of hype last time and got smoked. I definitely do not care. All right, lightweights, Darren Detroit superstar Cruikshank versus Anthony Grapplings for Gays Njokuani.
Yes, I care.
I do too.
Did he actually say that?
He did after he tweeted it, I believe. Maybe not those exact words, but that was the general gist of it. And
That makes me really want to grapple a guy like that.
I would think so. I would think so.
I want to start grappling him and get all sensitive while I'm grappling. It's like, oh man, you smell real good.
Is that cocoa butter?
Yeah, right. Oh man, what is that you use in your hair? Your skin is so smooth and
Do you have a pick between the Detroit superstar and Njoukani? This to me is kind of a fun match because Cruikshank throws a lot of outside fancy karate kicks and
yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Cruikshank.
Really? Yeah. I tend to give the Muay Thai guy the benefit of the doubt over the karate guy as a rule, but Cruikshank might have a little more momentum going. Anyway, but I'll take Njoukani just to make it interesting.
Yeah, plus when a guy's that opposed to grappling, he's got a troubled future.
A limited future for sure. All right, and that brings us to the bantamweight fight. First fight on the main event: Mitch Gagnon versus Roman Salazar.
Yeah, I care. Because Gagnon. Why do I care about Gagnon? What's the last thing you did?
You tell me. He's kind of funny looking. That's all I got. He's a bantamweight, Canadian.
What's his record? He's done something.
He's 11-2.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not bad. Oh, I'm getting him mixed up with Roland Delorme. He's 29, 5'6", 135 pounds. He beat Tim Goman at UFC Fight Night Bisping versus Kennedy. Dustin Kimura at UFC 165. Wallel Watson at UFC 152. Lost to Brian Caraway in his UFC debut. So he's 3-1 in the UFC.
Yep, except losing to Brian Caraway and that's I don't know what that's about. That's like saying I don't know what that's terrible.
Come on, Caraway's for one thing, his nickname's Kid Lightning.
Hey, there were when I started rolling with to the team Surround, there were some guys on the team. They're no longer on the team now. Who weren't very good, and I wasn't very good when I first started, but.
For your first 8 years as a blue belt?
Yeah, all right. I tell you, Marcus Vinicius saw me competing at blue belt. He just walked away and refused to speak to me.
Donish Layla.
Yeah, anyway. So of course, because I talked about it after the fight. But so this guy, he was like, we're going, and he was like, oh, I almost got you there. And I looked at him very seriously and said, you do realize that if you had tapped me just now in that 6-minute round, I would have immediately jumped up from this mat, run to the street in front of Fairtex and thrown myself under the wheels of an oncoming bus. And the guy started laughing. I didn't laugh. I just walked off.
Harsh, Eugene.
So I feel that way about Brian Caraway.
He's 4-1 in the UFC.
So 3 of those guys should have thrown themselves on the bus tires.
Ouch, ouch. Dustin Neese, Mitch Gagnon, Johnny Bedford, and Eric Perez all submitted. And the only guy to beat him in the UFC is Takeya Mizugaki. Who probably won't be beating anybody for a while.
In his pre-fight thing, he was doing like this. In his post-fight thing, he was doing like this. Man, where was the ref?
Yeah, that was pretty brutal, man. They let Mizugaki catch way too much of a beating.
And one of the commenters counted 20 shots.
That was just, and that's terrible because he's a good, gritty fighter that's given the fans a lot of entertainment, and just bullshit for the ref to blow that. All right, welterweights: Nordine Taleb versus Li Jinglang.
I don't care.
I don't care either. Although Nordine Taleb is quite a name. Middleweights: Elias Theodorou versus Bruno Santos.
Bruno Sammartino loved his wrestling. Don't care about the fight.
No, I don't care about this one either. Lightweights: Chad Laprise and Yostenas Cedeno.
I don't care.
No,
that name sticks in my head somehow.
But speak of the devil, bantamweights: Rafael Asankao. Rafael, where's my title shot? Asankao versus Brian Caraway.
Of course I care.
Indeed.
However, while I think it's shameful to get beaten by Brian Caraway, I don't think Brian Caraway winning is a bad thing.
Because that just sets him up for a bigger fall?
No, because that means that there's one less fighter. The guy who loses to him which if he does the right thing,
Is out in the on front of the bus.
out in front of the bus. So we don't need more.
Careful with these meme bombs, Eugene. You're gonna be like Alex Jones talking people out of vaccinating their kids here. You know. I mean.
Or some Ebola now. Let's not talk about it.
No, I'm just glad my kid didn't bring Ebola home from preschool. That's, like we've brought every other kind of pestilence home.
I don't know what the thinking was on bringing those fucking doctors back to America. Haven't they seen any single horror movie ever made in the
Don't go
movies?
in the basement.
Yeah, right.
Well, did you see this guy? Did you see this guy came home from Liberia and went to the doctor with symptoms, and they sent him back out into the wild? Like, I mean, fucking Christ, he just came from the country with the out of control Ebola epidemic, guys. Like,
I was on a plane once next to some white guy from Texas, and it's
always a white guy from Texas.
Yeah,
what is
that? And he was talking about how all of his travels. We're comparing notes. He goes, he loves traveling. Spent a lot of time in Nigeria. He goes. And then inevitably with some of these cats, he worked for an oil company. And inevitably...
There's no other reason to go to Nigeria, I can tell you.
Yes, there is. Because inevitably these guys go, there's a pause in the conversation. This is a two-part pause where he goes, the girls over there. Right? So this means a couple of things. This is one, the gay test. Like, to make sure that he hasn't been spending all of his flight time talking to a guy who's trying to hit on him.
Important to clear that out.
Which I never go for that bait. Guy goes, chicks, huh? And I just sit there and stare at him.
I hear John Wayne Gacy had quite the collection of Penthouse magazines.
We call that bait. Yeah. So then the second thing was to gauge the temperature of the room. I was like, yeah. And so that's all he needed to start talking to me about sex tourism and where you can get the best bargains. And then he said those words that I love the most from guys like this, and they don't even make you use a rubber. I was like, hey, man, I'm thinking this guy's got 5 kids and a wife in Texas, and he's not using rubbers with third world hookers? Oh, man. There you go. So
yeah, that's...
against that, what does Ebola mean?
Hey, you can get Ebola through sex, too. If you don't mind a girl that's bleeding out of her eyes, nose, and mouth.
Hey man, you got to get over that stuff. You're too sensitive.
Yeah, just double bagger. And anyway,
I have a story, but I can't even begin to think of how I would tell it. Related to my time in San Fernando Valley. Anyway. Let's just move along.
We'll just move right along. Do you have a pick between Rafael Asuncao and Brian Caraway?
Yeah, Brian Caraway is not submitting to Brazilian, I don't think. So.
No, this should be interesting. So I got to go with Rafael too.
Yeah, I'm going with Rafael.
But he's not going to get anywhere. Now that Dominic Cruz is back and looking like this, poor Rafael, no title shot is coming his way anytime soon. All right, that brings us to the main event. Welterweights, Rory McDonald and Tarek Saffiedine. Care, presumably.
Yeah, I care quite a bit, but I don't know. And I really want to pick Saffiedine, but I just don't know. I don't think I really can. I mean, so which means in this matchup that Saffiedine is more.
Saffiedine's fighting a 5-fight win streak.
Yeah, but do you honestly see him taking this?
No, not a chance.
Yeah. Okay. So,
yeah. No, I mean, the only thing, my biggest concern is I want to see Rory McDonald like he was when he first came to the UFC, just
I think that's gone.
Killing fools.
I think that's gone. I don't think that's ever coming.
Tri-Stall Gym, baby.
Yeah.
Bring it right out of him. Oh, are you prone to violence? Come to the Tri-Stall Gym. You'll never have a problem again. Fuck anger management, man. Yeah. Some of these guys to Tri-Stall. Why isn't Anthony Johnson at Tri-Stall? Like, that could solve no end of trouble for everybody. Like, just, you know? Yeah. I didn't even really get on Johnson for that whole thing, but it's not over yet.
It's not. However, the public's fascination with the Ray Rice thing, it seems like Roger Goodell has saved his job. So we've just moved into the next news cycle. So if you are a professional athlete of any kind, you've got to know You've got to know that there are forces out there that want to see the cycle continue. Do not be the guy. I mean, look, I'm not saying to be calculating about this. You shouldn't beat your wife under any circumstance. However, you got to know that now is not the time to be acting out. Leave the house like they used to do in the old days and go to your local bar and have a drink.
That's right. Take a walk and take a long walk. I don't even recommend having a drink. I just recommend taking a long walk and staying away.
Or get yourself a girlfriend. That usually helps.
At least in the short term.
Did I say that, or did I think that?
You said that, Eugene, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Any final thoughts for the cards this weekend?
No. I wonder how many dirty drug tests are going to come back.
I don't know. We just had a big one yesterday with your good friend Kung Lee.
Oh, did we?
HGH. We did.
I guess I did. Didn't I? Actually, wasn't I the canary in the coal mine on that? Didn't I? Haven't I both with Anthony Rumble Johnson and Kung Lee? For those who had the ears to hear, isn't that something that I said prior to?
Well, maybe you hinted, alluded, insinuated.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe your thoughts.
This is why I don't need your MMA Journalist of the Year, because I'm Cassandra. I'm okay being Cassandra.
I see. It's like the Oracle of Delphi. You go in the dark cave and you smell the fumes coming up and you hear the indistinct sounds back there. If you see the veins popping on Eugene's head when he's talking, he's trying to tell you something.
If you paid attention, you would have known months. Think about some of the other predictions I've made. See.
Well, we'll see. All right, Eugene. So we don't have any events for the next couple weeks, so we're going to come up with an MMA three-way, one topic requiring no homework. We'll come up with some bullshit for me and you and Dallas to talk about next week. And the week after, I'm going to make you read some Casanova and talk about
that's great.
One of the dirtiest stone fuck jobs I've ever read about being pulled on anybody. So, and
even more than Ulysses S. Grant.
Even more. And I mean, it depends if you're a lover or a fighter. This is.
Or what about Rommel?
Like what? Being poisoned on his birthday?
Oh no, the whole D-Day invasion, and then just
pulled away. I mean,
and then it will kill your whole family, or you can commit suicide.
Yep. Them's the breaks, Eugene.
Let me tell you, my whole family.
Kaiser Soze or Eugene S. Robinson?
Okay. Eugene S. Robinson gets presented with that choice. You guys might want to start heading for the hills. We'll kill your father if you don't. Go ahead.
And on that lovely note, at least it's not.
Yeah, family value show, kids.
Yes, indeed. So we'll be filling out the next 2 weeks with filler. And Eugene's grumbling about it already, so that Casanova.
No, I'm grumbling about having to read a bunch of Casanova, but I'll be okay with it. But this is the 2 weeks in which I'm gonna light the world on fire.
All right, big words from Eugene. You gonna cause some stir in Hong Kong? Maybe overthrow the Chinese Communist government with your.
Yeah, I got people who were there in Hong Kong who were live tweeting photos. It's pretty exciting. But
it is. They
need to talk to Tank Dude, see how exciting.
Yeah, we haven't seen his social media presence yet.
It's Tiananmen Square, huh? He's been busy with a few things.
Yeah, he felt like he couldn't top that, so he just.
He's retired.
All right, well, adios, MMA aficionados. Right, I got to do the plugs. Follow Eugene on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson. I'm at Kid Nate. Read us both on BloodyElbow.com. You can also read Eugene at Aussie.com and at Vice's Fightland. And Eugene will be back on Monday with Knuckle Up. We'll have the Vivisection tomorrow with Dallas, Zane, and Connor. They are going to nerd out. It might be a 4-hour show. So give us a like.
Dallas! Let me tell you about that guy.
You always get it in.
Got it, man. Rhythmically, I pulled the Keith Jardine on that. I kind of waited a bit before I got in there.
You did. I was flailing. It was like, all right. So give us a like. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube. And adios, MMA aficionados. Thanks, Eugene. We'll see you next time.
All right, man. We'll see you. Bye.